Okay, so 2020 contender Julian Castro, campaigning in Iowa, says Iowa and New Hampshire should not be the first states on the presidential nominating calendar because they're too white. Let's talk about it with the host of Left Coast News, Ethan Behrman, and clinical professor of law at Cornell, founder of the Legal Insurrection website, William Jacobson. Welcome to you both.
Hi, Shannon.
Good to be here.
Okay, so listen, it's a strategy, but you're there in Iowa, and Professor, he calls them out and says, you and New Hampshire are too white. You shouldn't stay at the front of the calendar. But to folks in those states, it is incredibly important and prestigious. I don't see them giving that up. How do you think that's going to play?
I don't think they're going to give that up. Every year or every cycle, there's somebody who talks about eliminating Iowa and New Hampshire as the opening states. It never changes. It's a tradition. And the point is, you've got to be able to compete everywhere in the country. And I think that criticizing them may give him an excuse for polling at 1% or turning out at 1%. But the fact of the matter is, it's a different type of politics. It's a very retail politics. And it's a politics of getting people out to caucuses and then to the polls. And so it's a good test. So I don't think it's going to change, and I don't think it should change.
Well, and somebody who's polling much better is Senator Elizabeth Warren there in Iowa. She was asked about it, kind of put on the spot, and she sort of said to the interviewer, like, you're not going to really get me to criticize those two states right now. But what she said was she's just a player in the game, Ethan. She didn't want to get into whether it was too white to really represent the Democratic Party.
Probably a smart move by Senator Warren not to attack those who are casting the first votes. But I do disagree with the professor here in that, tradition for the sake of tradition is not necessarily a good thing, especially when we start talking about partisan politics. California, of course, has moved itself up to be part of this early Super Tuesday now that is going to change the fact that California was totally ignored for primaries other than as a cash machine up until this election. So we can make changes, and we probably should make changes, because Julian Castro does have a point in that those two states are not representative of the diversity of this country.
Okay, so billionaire Michael Bloomberg, former New York City mayor, filing in Alabama, talking about really mounting this late run. Now we hear that former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick may get in. And Mark Penn says, don't count out another key individual. Here's what he says.
There's still a couple of days here. I don't know whether she'll look at the Michael Bloomberg thing and say, the field's too crowded now, I missed my opportunity, or the opposite. Wow, the field's weak, I could come in, I could get 165,000 donors. I'm tied with Biden in some of these early states if I get in. There's still a political logic there for her.
All right, both of you, what do you think the odds are that Hillary Clinton cannot resist this moment in history and takes another shot at it? Professor, you first.
Well, she wants to get in. There's no doubt about that. Whether she will get in, I think it's 50-50. I would not be surprised. Joe Biden is a very weak front runner, and I think Hillary sees an opportunity. She thinks she won the last election. She thinks it was stolen from her. So I don't see why she wouldn't get in.
Okay, Ethan, they have not welcomed Bloomberg with open arms. How do you think the field would feel about Hillary showing up?
Yeah, no, I don't think Hillary's going to enter the race this time. I think that she recognizes her role as an elder statesman of the party, that she has a lot of power behind the scenes to help get people elected, and that she's going to put her weight behind that to make sure that whoever is the nominee wins the election in 2020 so we can focus on an honest presidency moving forward.
Okay, so let's go back to Senator Amy Klobuchar, who is still fighting in the race, and talking about the fact that Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who is young and interesting in a lot of ways, but she says, referring to herself, Warren, and Senator Kamala Harris of California, Klobuchar suggests a woman would not be on the debate stage if she had the same qualifications as Buttigieg. Quick comment from you both on that point, Professor.
Well, I don't know whether that's true or not, but it's a somewhat irrelevant question because the primaries and the caucuses are coming up, and she's got to win this election. Amy Klobuchar needs to focus on winning people over, not complaining about societal bias. That's not going to change overnight.
Ethan?
Yeah, he's not wrong. But however, in this case, I think Senator Klobuchar is right. It's really interesting. I think Mayor Buttigieg has a bright political future. But yeah, a small town Midwestern mayor suddenly is leading in the pack, raising $20 million. It raises a lot of questions. And I think it goes back to Mark Zuckerberg's visit, raising his profile. Would he have done that for a female mayor? I don't think so.
Well, he continues to climb in the polls and is showing very well in a tough state like Iowa. So we'll continue to track that. The next debate is just a few days away. Ethan, Professor, thank you both for joining us tonight.
Great.
Thanks, Shannon.